So you were talking about how we met in the beginning, anyway, just talking hip hop, right?
Yeah.
Was that what,
Yeah,
10 years ago?
bro, it was like 12,
12
20.
years ago,
I
man.
remember because I was just starting college thinking I'm gonna be a business major. And then I'm like 3 months of that, I'm like, this is boring as hell. I'm not doing this. Um,
Business majoring was exciting to me.
you liked it,
Literally
yeah. You seem
enjoyed
to
it.
like it. What did you
Yeah,
like about it?
learning the terminology, like just learning how to talk, like not in a professional way about business, and
Let me ask
learning
you a
the ins
question
and
though.
outs, inputs, outputs, things like that.
Would you have enjoyed it as much when you were 24,
No,
do you think?
absolutely
Yeah.
not.
So yeah, this is 2011, so I was
Yeah,
24. I think I
okay.
would enjoy it now. That's a good point though.
Yeah,
Like
you
I didn't
probably
think
would
about
enjoy it now. I mean, because you're
um
interested in doing your own thing at some point, not working. So
yeah, bro.
I would
Like,
definitely
you think it would
assume.
help with that? You think you could learn game off that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would advise any entrepreneur to take some business classes, especially like
Hmm.
it, because you're gonna learn so much about like just making turning $1 into two. Just the basic bare bones of that's fire and the way to learn that. Of course, you're born with it innately, but
Hmm.
the terminology that everyone else will be using that you will be dealing with that maybe is not born with it innately, and they don't really speak the same language as you. It helps you speak their language and make some money off of it. But yeah, that's it. Anyway, man, we're welcoming the bookworms into the fold. You guys know Mo had to take a week off. He's celebrating his birthday week,
Shout
I
out
believe.
Mo.
Yeah,
Happy
shout out to Mo,
birthday.
man. So happy birthday.
It's
If
my
y'all
guy.
missed Mo this week, go check him out on the On Deck TV podcast with me and my man AB. Truly disgusting performance by Mo. Truly disgusting.
Yo, the
Uh,
background was killing me,
oh
bro.
my God,
I had a
truly.
video that way. I don't even normally, here's the thing, bro. I don't even normally video on deck. And I even told you, like,
Mhm.
I've videoed it before, and I'm like, I just prefer listening. I'm an audio file. I'm not
Yeah, I'm
a
the same
video.
thing. Same with me.
But I'm like, I got a video. This is a big ep. And
Oh,
then
you
I
pulled the
saw
video
most.
up after you heard me say something about the background, or you went in
No,
and
I don't know why. I
decided to
just
look
pulled
it
it
up?
up. I just pulled it
Okay.
up. Oh, no, it wasn't on Spotify, but it was on YouTube first. So I guess Chris or whoever uploaded it first on YouTube. So I
Hmm.
just put it play on the way to work yesterday, and I saw Mo's background. I was dying. Shout out Mo.
Background. The background was nasty. The
It's a
appearance was
classic, bro.
nasty.
It's the
I was
last great
fighting,
album Drake made.
like like
Sorry,
R. Kelly
everybody.
said, man. Not to quote R. Kelly, but I was fighting for my life in there, as the only non Drake stan that was on the show. But no, that was a
I
good
could tell,
appearance by
yeah,
Mo, man.
yeah.
I've gotten, bro, I've gotten at least 6 texts today.
I
Six.
expected Chris to be more like, "Come on, let's go," and he was pretty objective. Y'all both were, which is hard for you. So I get it. You know what I
It's
mean?
hard for me to be objective. That's not
It's
true.
hard for you to be objective. So.
That's definitely not true. I'm probably the most objective person you know.
Oh man, my sound went out.
But no, if y'all don't know, familiar voice here. It's been a long time. It's your second appearance or third?
I believe it's my
Second. Third.
third. Yeah, I did one
Okay.
with you and then one with you and Mo. Pause.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So we got my man Dan, who does not like Dan the white man. That I've infamously called him before. He don't like that, so I'm not gonna call
I
him that.
never said I didn't like it. I just said I
Oh,
was
you
your only
cool?
white friend. I'm your
How you
only white
not though?
friend.
I do have Chris
You have
Platt.
associates. Chris
Chris
Platt's
Platt
an
is
associate. When was the last time you hung out with Chris Platt? When was the last time?
he
Yeah,
don't
when was the
live.
last time you got lunch at Lenox Mall like you
When
do
the
with me
last
with
time I
Chris
hung
Platt?
out with you? But okay, that's fair.
We work together, so maybe that's a little, but
Yeah,
still,
I got one more white friend I got to somewhere out there. Y'all
yeah,
listen,
it'll
man.
come. It'll
It'll
come
come. I think
eventually.
of it. But yeah, Dan tapping in was always good conversation, man. And he and I have been going back and forth. This is another week in the books for those of you who don't know. We appreciate you tapping in. You ain't had Fridays this good in a minute to steal a line from my man Mo while he's out.
Let's go.
Damn.
So
The topic of conversation has been this beef. And probably some bookworms may get mad. Maybe they didn't come here for this, but this is what it's going to be. So you will be back to the regularly scheduled programming next week. But we're going to talk about hip hop. We're going to talk about this beef and see where else it leads us. Right. But there was some
yeah,
back and forth. I didn't realize that you were such a Drake fan. I had to
yeah.
endure
So
it on
yeah.
deck
So
this
let's
week
get
with
this out of.
Mo and
Let's get.
Chris. And then I've been
Yeah,
enduring it with you and my text messages all week. Like I didn't know like all of y'all were such Drake
yeah,
fans now. Everybody
yeah.
got all of this bail that they shooting, and this is an immaculate diss record, and people sending me links and telling me to listen to
Oh,
30-minute links breaking down the lyrics of what Drake, bro, stop. Can we all just stop? Can
You
we
just
all
sent me
just
one of
stop this?
those, but okay.
I sent it to you to listen to for the show because somebody
Okay.
insisted that I listen to it like there was something that I missed, and everything that he said I
That's what I
deleted.
was thinking. Yeah, that's
Everything
what
that he said
other
I
than the
deleted.
Tokyo thing. The Tokyo thing was cool.
It was, but I didn't care about that, right?
Uh,
Like, who
uh.
cares? Like, why? The thing that
Yeah,
I'm
honestly, I don't care about anything but the Kendrick thing, bro.
Mhm,
I don't care about any of that but the Kendrick thing.
mhm.
None of it.
Agreed.
None of it's entertaining to me. Like it's cool. Like we can't. Okay. So for all the listeners, shout out, shout out Mo. Mo, this is for in solidarity with you.
God. And Drake. Don't forget to
I
be in
love
solidarity
Drake.
with Drake.
However, I need you to justify and explain to me how I'm a Drake fan. A super fan, I believe you said.
Hmm. Well, I'd have to release our text messages so people would see. But no,
Give a
you've been shooting
synopsis.
him,
It's a little
you've been
short,
shooting him a lot more bail than I would have expected someone like you to. I didn't really take you as that much of a Drake fan, but you're like, oh, this is brilliant.
I
Oh,
never
he
said
was
it
just
was
bad.
brilliant. It's not true.
Yes, you
I
did.
said it was. I said it was a brilliant chess move. Not the. It's not like a. It's
Yeah, but
not
it
ether.
was just it was the regular response. That was it. It wasn't a brilliant chess move. It wasn't quadruple and double entendres or whatever people are saying that it is. It was a
No, I don't
response.
think
We
that.
appreciate
Let me
you for
say
responding and
let
bringing
me
the
say
feeling back.
this, and maybe you'll agree with this. Maybe this will be some common ground, and then I'll
Okay.
explain how I'm definitely not a Drake super fan.
Mm,
You're right that it's not a brilliant chess move by Drake.
okay.
What's crazy is that it's piecing out the narrative around it, and the way that it's playing out
Hmm.
is becoming. I don't know how to say this, but it's falling in his favor how it's playing out, even though I would agree with you, he didn't necessarily do that intentionally.
I
Can
think
we
he did.
agree on that?
I think he did do it intentionally, and I
Well, if
do
he
think,
did, if he did,
and
then it was brilliant.
I think people are always going to cater towards someone like Drake versus Kendrick because he's a lot more likable. Like he's a lot more popular. You're the person that's outside. You're the person that's having fun. Like people gravitate towards that. Like of course the chick from Kill Bill is gonna say, "Hey, do you need my did you see that? What's her name? Uma Thurman, I believe, the lady that played
Fire,
in Kill
bro.
Bill.
Fire.
Do you need this for like yes, she's going to do that for Drake because Drake has those type of friends though. It's not anything that's surprising. The people want to be with the popular dude, especially when he's up. And when he get hit in his mouth, I want to see where everybody goes to then. That's what I would love to see, like how many people stick around, and then it's going to be really quick to revert to, oh, stop bullying him like they did with Pusha T. Like that's what's going to happen. Like Kendrick will come out with something like story of Adonai, and then it's going to be like, oh, he's bullying him. Like, because that's the sympathy that you get when you're dealing with a person like Drake. And I mean, I get it. I get it.
I hear you. I don't. I think that the comparison between everybody likes Drake, we can't sit here and act like Kendrick is not beloved artistically, even by the non-traditional hip hop head. Like they're, but let's be honest, they're both respected amongst hip hop heads. Kendrick for his lyricism and his bodies of work, and
Mhm.
Drake somewhat too for his bodies of work, but also just for his acumen, business acumen, and just his run and all that. But Kendrick is he's a Pulitzer Prize winner. Like the corny white dude who's only listened to Eminem his whole life and doesn't know anything else about rap loves Kendrick Lamar. And more than he
Yeah,
loves Kendrick Lamar, he would love to write a think piece on why Kendrick Lamar is so great.
but it ain't a lot of him. That's all I'm saying. You're right. You're absolutely right that
I
there's not a lot of those dudes. There's a lot more people
okay,
with the
that's
sympathy
fair.
for Drake just because they know his name and oh he's famous and they seen him with their favorite rapper or whatever. Like it's going to play out that way. And again, I don't have a problem with it. I'm enjoying the show as a hip hop fan. We needed this. It was
Absolutely.
a jolt of life into it. And I wish I had got out in front of this with my take on this because it's the first thing that I thought. And now I'm seeing it play out. Everybody's trying to downplay it. Mo tried to. You downplayed it in the text. Fucking with Rick Ross was the wrong thing to do. And I've said this
I don't
on
think it
other like, yeah, you
matters.
can shrug it. You can shrug
I don't
your
think it
you
matters at
can
all.
it
I don't
will
think it
because
matters.
he's gonna be distracted. He's been going back and forth with Rick Ross for 4 days online. 4 days.
Legacy wise, this is not going to matter 10 years from now. What's going to so let me just say this real quick. Adenon, and you were right because that Duppy freestyle is still fire.
Mhm.
However, and I pointed it out to you. However, you sent me back Adenon. I re-listened to it. You pointed out the bars, and I'm like, okay, I conceded. You're 100% right. My whole point on that is people will remember Story of Adidon 10 years from now. That is an asterisk on Drake's career. He got Joffrey. He got his head chopped off.
Yes.
It's not even a question. So you were right about that. Kendrick may do the same. He has the ability to do the same. However, no one's going to be talking about, do you remember when the Kendrick and Drake beef happened? Do you remember all the Raw stuff? This is momentary, bro. You know it is. Are you saying that you think it's going to
That's fair.
affect? Are you saying that you think it might affect his ability? I thought your the fly
It's
buzzing
a
around his
distraction,
head.
bro. Yeah,
I
it's a
thought that was a
distraction.
fair. That might be true. I don't know if
You're
that's
right.
true, but I think that's a fair
Like no one
possibility.
remembers. No one remembers that Mobb Deep made LA in response to New York, New York. So you're right about that. Like it may not be remembered 10 years from now, but right now, in the moment when you need the utmost concentration because you're dealing with a fucking assassin, you don't need
Mm-hmm.
somebody like Rick Ross pissing around, like putting videos up and antagonizing you about being broke
Yo,
and
that cover
bringing
art,
Birdman. All of it is
the
funny.
cover art is
Rick
hilarious,
Ross is
dude. The white dude.
hilarious, bro. He's a funny dude.
I just can't take him serious, but he is hilarious.
Yeah, it's just one of
But
them dudes that you don't want. I don't want you around. Like if I was him, I would have like if I was Drake, I'm involved in all of like 50, anybody that I can to kind of knock Rick Ross off his pivot and to distract him the way he's trying to distract me. I'm gonna start teaming up with people.
he definitely tried to CC 50 Cent on his
Yeah, come
in
on.
the email on his beef.
Join, yeah,
He definitely
absolutely.
tried to.
Join
Hey,
us. Join
you in the
us.
meeting, right? You're in the
Yeah,
meeting link. Like
absolutely.
he
You here,
definitely tried to
right?
get 50 others.
Yeah, let me send you this meeting link so we can come up with this plan. And you
Yeah.
bring your boy Lloyd Banks and Uncle Murder and whoever else you want to bring, and y'all focus on Ross for me.
So I hear. So let me just respond to the super fan things real quick, so I can lay out my basis. So here's the thing, and then I'm gonna bring it back around to what you said about people rooting for Drake. So I remember in 2009. Now it's starting to feel like another week in the books. I remember in 2009, I was working a temp job at ADP, mailing checks, making like 12 an hour, which was a come up at the time, bro. At 12 an hour
Hell
was
yeah,
major, bro.
2005.
20 years old. And I was listening to Jeezy, T.I., Wayne, and I remember in the classics, the 90s classics. And I remember my boy Maurice, shout out Maurice Hutt from Peoria. He gave me a burnt CD that just said "So Far Gone," and I
Mm.
popped it in. He's like, "Yo, you need to check this dude out." I popped it in, and all I remember hearing is, "I'm trying to do it all tonight. I got plans." And I remember like, "Yo, this dude sounds different. Like he sounds young. He sounds my generation." And he was. He's born in '86. I'm born in '87. So it was the first time I'd ever heard a millennial on that level rap like that. And then later he also put me on J. Cole on the warm up later, and then yeah, so I was on Drake pretty early. I was on him before Best I Ever Had Blue, before Forever, the collab track Blue.
So you are a
And
fan.
then check it out. So I was a huge fan. And then I remember in 20, and then he dropped Thank Me Later, which was cool. I know a lot of people like that album. I think it's okay. I don't think it's great. But I remember after I met you, I remember Take Care dropped. And I remember you remember Take Care, right? That's the one the weekend collab.
The
Yeah.
Marvin's
And I
Room, yeah.
remember that's when I was in college. And I remember being, yeah, exactly. And Crew Love and all that. And I remember being blown away. I'm like, this is fire. There's a lot of singing on this, but this is fire, dude. And like the
Mm.
40 was just on something else then. That underwater wavy sound. And I also remember right around that time, my boy Jermaine, shout out Jermaine McCall from Pritchard, Alabama. He just sent me, hey, check out Kendrick Lamar. And he sent me High Power, the video High Power.
Mhm.
Visions of Martin Luther staring at me. And I was like, yo, this dude, it was the same feeling. This dude's young too, but he's not on that. I'm the next Jay. He was the next Nas, but really at the time with Section 80, he was the next Nas. So it was like cool. And
Mhm.
I think J. Cole was still trying to be like in that Jay pocket. He hadn't sat on his roof long enough. He hadn't pondered his life yet. So I'm getting around to it. I know it's long winded. So I remember hearing that Kendrick, and then I remember the next year, I remember telling you at Target, "Yo, Kendrick Lamar is fire," and your response was, "Yeah, he's cool." And now, to be fair, this was before Good Kid, Mad City.
Mhm.
When Good Kid, and I'm probably the only person in the world that would say when Good Kid, Mad City dropped, disappointed is too strong of a word, but I was like, yes, certified classic. I want to hear the next one. I was expecting To Pimp a Butterfly before I was expecting Good Kid, Mad City. And again, I know that may sound crazy, but you got to realize I was so on Section 80. I know that album through and through. Poe Man's Dreams.
But you
Um,
like Damn more than To Pimp a Butterfly, right? That's your type of Kendrick Lamar right there, right?
it is now, yeah.
You
Damn
would
it,
put
yeah.
that above To Pimp a Butterfly?
I think you could. I think it's like some of Jay albums. You could change it out. I think. Damn. You know how I texted you the other day? I texted you the Volume Three Jay intro, and I'm like, this is not
Doom,
his best
doom,
album,
doom,
but this is
doom.
the best Jay. This is my favorite Jay. It's his most aggressive. It's his most like most cocky. That's how I feel about Damn. It's Kendrick at his just precision, like he was cutting heads. But To Pimp a
Real quick,
Butterfly, yeah, go ahead.
Volume 3 Jay-Z was I'm not a superstar yet, but I'm not a reasonable doubt Jay-Z anymore either. Like there was there was this lane that he caught right there at Volume 3 where it's like, yeah, that's the
Yeah,
dude. And it
exactly.
set it up for Blueprint because Blueprint, he was a legit. I'm out of here now. Blueprint, I'm a
Yeah,
star. But in Volume 3, that was for a long time one of my favorite um, Jay Z albums. Dynasty came out after that, though, right?
yeah,
And
2000.
then even with me for Dynasty, I used to overrate that heavily. Like that
It's
was one
because
of my
that intro.
favorite J
It's because
albums.
the intro. The intro's
Because
so
it was no,
fire. It just
it's the
certifies the
intro.
album.
It's the intro. It's
The
This Can't Be
daddy.
Life. Where Have You Been?
Yeah.
And again, and damn, the song about the chick. The song,
Um. Not
Can
give it to me. Um.
you let me touch you? Soon
Oh
you
my gosh.
understand. Soon you
Who
understand.
made that beat?
I do not know.
That sample was
That was
wild, bro.
my shit. Soon you understand. Hey, that was my shit.
Yo,
I used to
when Bean said we used to think money was white because he's talking about the food stamps,
food
bro.
stamp
Like
books and food stamp.
that's like I
You know
grew up
what?
with a father in the house, but I could see how people would listen to that and just like that is such a hard song.
Even if you did grow up with a father in the house, like just to hear how he was like he teared up on that.
Yeah.
When have you ever heard that? I think I've heard Scarface kind of get that emotional on a song. But I've
Yeah, and he
never
even said it,
heard
didn't he? Didn't he
who.
even say it in the middle of the song? Like, I'm getting emotional or
Yeah,
something
like
like that.
he
Yeah,
mentioned like you could
fire,
tell like he was holding back tears.
fire, bro.
And that was I can that was the only time that I've ever heard that. Like I had
Uh,
that song on repeat for a long time, of course, growing up without a dad in the house. So yeah, that album used to do it for me, man. Like
yeah.
I still rank Dynasty really high. Like Dynasty Volume 3, that's my favorite version of
Your
Jay-Z.
favorite is Blueprint, though, right?
That's the
That's the
best
one.
album. Yeah, musically, that's the best album. But my favorite version, personality, like this is I'm a Jay. Like this guy
Yeah.
got me locked in. Like the Drake stands that are out here and there. Like it was Volume 3 Dynasty. Those two records back to back like that. It was like, oh yeah, this is my guy.
Okay. So to bring it full circle and to make a long story short, he dropped Good Kid, Mad City. He dropped To Pimp a Butterfly. And then also when Drake dropped Nothing Was the Same, which is easily my favorite album by him. Because I think it was his most cohesive. And he was rapping on there. That was honestly, I mean, I like If You're Reading This Is Too Late, but it felt like an album full of 0 to 100. It was cool. Um, but the last Drake album that I think is very good or great would be Nothing Was the Same, bro. That's 11 years ago. That's 11 years ago. I didn't like I you like Views. I didn't like Views at
Music's
all.
best album.
I
Music's
thought it
Drake
was
best
Views.
album
That's
easily.
blasphemy.
That's easily Drake best album. Like it ain't even close.
No,
It's not
it's
even
not.
close.
It's that's no Drake fan would agree with you. You know that.
Oh,
You think Nostradamus is not
because
his
they
best
not a
album though.
I did not. I've never said that.
That's you said.
I've never said that.
Looking out of my
Either even though
project.
Nostradamus is banging, and that's one of my favorite Nas songs, Project Windows. it was written as Don's best album. It was written.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, because
It
that
was like a
got
movie.
oh man, they got Ever Die in Love, Under Nine Love, whatever the name of the song he
Oh, you're
told.
thinking of I Am
Okay, that was on I Am. Well, I
with
Am might be his best
Scarface,
album
and
then.
then
If I
Pay
Ruled
Me
the World is on I
Now.
Am too, right?
That song it was
I
great.
Am is his best album. I Am is
All
his
right.
best album. Yeah, I Am is
Bottom
his.
line, I haven't enjoyed a Drake album since 2015 when If You're Reading This Is Too Late came out. Of course, he'll drop. I love his timestamp records. Like like if he gave me an album full of real timestamps, like that would be. I love that. 6 p.m. in Dallas, 5 a.m. in Toronto is still one of the best just bars I've ever heard on a song. 5 a.m. in Toronto. But I haven't enjoyed a Drake body of work in a long time, and just the way he moves and just the kind of weird cornball stuff he does. Um, I don't know. He didn't turn into I don't know.
He ain't
With
turning
that
into what?
said, I think that so Drake and Kendrick and Cole at the turning of this decade at 2020, and Drake even said this in the Rap Radar interview, they were kind of doing the turn that Jay and Nas and those veterans from the 90s made, where it's like, okay, I'm not the young dude anymore. I'm not going to be the hottest dude, but can I be a veteran statesman and be have some maturity with it? You remember when Jay put out DOA?
Yep. Def Auto Tune.
Dude was like in his 40s killing trends. Not that he killed the trend, auto tune is still around, but making it it was just a different level of maturity, bro. I always expected Drake to reach that, and he did the opposite. He reverted to, and some people might like that, but he reverted to let me just stay with the young crowd and let me ride that wave as well. But the bottom line is, I haven't enjoyed a Drake project really since 2015, almost 10 years ago. My question for you, Lou, is this: how much of it do you think is because this is what it is for me, and this is why I've been, hyping it, and also you're a Kendrick fan, so I got to dig at you, bro. Pause. If
Jesus Christ.
how much of it do you think is not that he is so beloved, but that people enjoy? And I think this is what it was with the back-to-back thing with Meek. How much of it do you think that people like seeing the corny, light skin, wheelchair Jimmy, the grassy Nickelodeon Canadian
Mm-hmm.
hop back at the dude from Compton, at the dude from Miami, at the dude, at the dudes from the east side of Atlanta? How much of it do you think, and just sun them, not to where he's destroying them or whatever, but he's getting it off. How much of it do you think is that? Because that's what it is for me. I enjoy seeing
You feel like he's an
uh
underdog?
not
Well,
in a
that's
career, but in a rap. That's a great question. Not career wise, of course not, but in a rap beef character wise, in the '90s, bro. I know I'm a little bit younger than you, but I was a kid listening to that in that era.
mm-hmm.
You could never be a Nickelodeon star from Canada with a and even survive a rap beef, bro. That wouldn't even be like a thing. You see what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah, yeah.
how much of it? And I know we're in a new era, but how much of it do you think is that? Because that's what it is for me. I enjoy seeing the dude who would make the hits, do all the cool stuff, but he wouldn't survive in rap beef, and he's going against the one dude that we are expecting to cut heads, and he still might do. How much of it do you think is that?
Mm, I
'Cause
don't.
that's what it is for me.
I'm not really sure that a lot of people look at him like that, like you're saying. I think he surpassed that point to where I would look at him as more so, and it's not because I'm a Kendrick fan. I would look at him as the villain in this story. He's the villain of rap. Even how most of these beefs are originating, whether it be behind people thinking that he gets different splits from them from record labels, or him fucking your girl and pillow talking, whatever it may be, I think that it's easier to paint Drake as the villain versus, oh, it's wheelchair Jimmy from Canada that was on Nickelodeon, and he shouldn't even be at this level with them, but he is, and he's surviving. I don't think that process flies in today's times. And to even expand it, like what you were saying, he wouldn't have survived in the 90s. Just take a look at basketball. LeBron James is the second best basketball player ever, but you will still have people who say the same thing that you say about him for the 90s. He didn't have enough dog in him to be LeBron James, in that era. But he may have had the talent. I don't know if he would have transcended to LeBron James just because he's not built like that era of basketball was built. Just like Drake isn't built like that era of rap is built. It's a lot more acceptable to be a famous person that raps versus being a rapper that became famous. So that's why I don't think that you get a lot of bail for Drake or a lot of people like, well, yeah, he's not the traditional rapper. True, but who is nowadays?
Mm,
Like the biggest names in the game are like fucking, especially now, like Sexy Red. She's not a traditional
hmm.
rapper. Um, no one is really traditional anymore. Especially like NBA YoungBoy is big. He's not traditional. So I think it goes to the maturing of what we've seen be and what society looks, how society reacts to people and their personalities now versus when I grew up in the 90s. Like it ain't cool to, you can't be that, you can't be like a, it would have been hard for Tupac to be Tupac in 2000 and whatever. It wouldn't have been politically correct. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more palatable for people to say, "Hey, this Drake guy, like, I can play him at bar mitzvahs, and I can also have some songs like Stay Scheming that we can play in the club." As to where Tupac is like, my diss song is like, "Yeah, I fucked your bitch, like you fat
Hmm.
motherfucker." Like that ain't flying today. Like people would be in an out. It would be an outrage. Like, oh, you calling
You
you
don't think
body shaming him, and you're talking about having sex with his wife, not in those
you don't think
words.
you don't think the push thing did that?
Even then, Pusha that people said Pusha T was being a bully. Like people had to they had to step in. Oh, this is going too far. I can't believe you talked about 40 like that, man. Who know?
No, I was whack when he said that for sure.
It was, but people got it. And they were like, man, he didn't have to do that, man. He didn't have to talk about 40. Like you heard reputable people in this space saying, like, oh, that was a little too far. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I don't know that he gets a lot of sympathy for being the things that you described him as. I think that again, I think that he's the villain. I don't know if I've expressed this on any other things that I've talked about this at, and it's a good thing to dive into when you look at this. Like I'm looking at this like if this was a movie, if this was your superhero story, Drake isn't the good guy. He's the bad guy.
That's an interesting thread
Do
to
you see it
take.
differently?
No, let's talk about that. I think that's an interesting thread to go down. Real quick on what you said. I think that's a fair point. The only critique I might make is the LeBron thing. I think that's a great comparison. I would just say the difference would be if LeBron, what Drake is doing now is if LeBron we're getting roughed up on in the game and he just started swinging back or just started being that
That's
that type of dude. And
mm,
that's what Drake is doing.
yeah, but how long can he do that though? Like if you him or LeBron, you can have one fight and people can
Mm-hmm.
respect you, and that's cool. But what happens when every night that people want to fight and you just not built that way? It's gonna wear on you. You're not gonna be able to show up and be a Drake or LeBron James if you worrying about fisticuffs with the opponent every night. Eventually you got to get in your bag that makes you LeBron James. I want to get out here and have fun and have 15 assists and have 20 boards and have fun with the crowd and do my little clap smoke thing. If I'm Drake, I want to do the Tootsie slide. I want to be with Sexy Red and have fun because that's what makes me Drake. If I got to consistently defend myself and fight people off, hard for me to get in that bag. Hard for me to get in
So
that bag.
that's fair. So what I would say to go down the villain thread, I think there's something there. I'd have to flesh it out more, but I think that
Hip hop need a villain though. I'm not saying that that's
yeah, no,
is
I
a
got
bad
it.
thing either.
I'm just
I'm
trying to
not mad at him.
diagnose.
I'm glad that he
Yeah,
leans into it. I think that he knows that he's the
he
villain.
does it well. He's a good villain.
Absolutely, he's a
That's
good villain.
okay.
He's one of the
I
most
think.
care. He's like a Gus Fring. He's like the
Mm,
Gus Fring of villains. You're like, okay,
he just
I
keeps
get it.
getting you.
Get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I get it, bro. You a bad motherfucker. Like I understand.
And maybe this goes to even that point. Maybe this goes to, and I'd be interested to know what you think about this. When I mentioned that he didn't become what I thought he would become, this is all speculation. But just from seeing him, I don't know that he's really like a good dude or like a happy guy. and again, I'm not character to say if anybody like whatever, bro. Like to each his own and whatever. But when I again super quick when I listened to that So Far Gone when I was in my 20s, when I listened to that Take Care, I heard this young, youthful, hopeful, the future's ahead of me, the stars are ahead of me. I don't know where it described, which is why a lot of us got on him like that. It described kind of where we were, even though we weren't trying to get in the rap game and be superstars. We were about to go into college. We were having relationships that ended poorly, and he was kind of providing the soundtrack to a young, hopeful kid in his 20s that didn't know what his life was going to be, but was hopeful for it. And what I saw him becoming was kind of, I guess you could say, like a Jay is now, where a lot of the elder statesmen are now to a certain level, even Nas or whoever. What he seems to have become, and again, this is just my perception, is a dude who I almost, even when I listen to some of his songs now, even the ones where he's barring it down, he seems like you remember Tony Montana when he had everything was done, the struggle was over, and he was sitting in the chair like that, had a
Mhm.
pile of coke, and he's like, "This is it, Manny. This is what it's all about." Drake can have sex with any woman he wants. He can do anything he wants. He can afford anything he wants. He can do anything. And I think he feels empty inside, bro. And that's and so I think
I think
to
that's
your
most
villain,
powerful people, right?
sure, but I think that if you don't do what Kendrick and Cole or Jay, if you don't find that outside of mainstream success wave, if you don't find that artistic pocket of, I don't know, I don't really know how to describe it, then you just stay in that glitz and glamour life. And I think Drake's all about that. I think that it's just become, he's a rock star, man. He truly is a rock
Yeah, you're a
star.
true pop star.
Like 100%, bro. And the reason I use the term rock star is because they were wild in like the 70s and 80s, like Aerosmith, Steven Tyler shooting heroin and like messing up hotel. Like, so to your villain point, when I look at guys like Future and Metro, and again, I don't know these dudes, but even with Ross, I've never been a Ross fan like that, and I think I don't take him seriously. But I will say this:
Wait,
Ross
what?
typically doesn't seem to have an issue with someone unless there is something there, like he did with Birdman,
You mean
with
something behind the
50.
scenes?
Yeah, like something like almost grimy, like because Ross seems like a solid dude. And again, I'm not a Ross fan at all, but he seems like a solid dude. So to your villain point, I mean, how deep do you want to go with that? Like, do you think that behind the scenes and kind of to the video that you sent me, I kind of believe all that stuff, bro, about the
Yeah,
other women and
absolutely.
all that, bro. I mean,
Absolutely. And
they said during the push thing, super quick, he was looking for people to pay so that he could get info on Push, but Push's team was like, "Nah, we're solid, bro. Like,
yeah,
we all live in Virginia Beach. Like, nah, we ain't giving you nothing."
villain. Those are villain stories, dude. I
No,
don't
for
think
sure.
like
Like
dude, dude,
trying to get Jesse when Gus was trying to get Jesse when he invited him over for
yeah,
dinner, and
like I
he's
want
like,
you to be the cook now.
"Yeah."
I want you to be
It's
the
like,
cook. Let's get this dude out of here. Like that is a villain origin. Like that's a villain story, like through and through.
yeah,
And
that's a
again,
good point.
there's nothing wrong with that. I think hip hop need villains, and I think that people, his peers, started to realize that. Like you get fooled by the, oh, I'm the nice guy. I sing. I just like to have the bitches around. I'm wheelchair Jimmy. I'm light skinned. His peers got fooled by that. They took him lightly, and then they looked up and like, oh shit, he's fucking my girlfriend, or he's done this. He made this shady deal outside of me, and I didn't even realize that I had the opportunity to make that deal, and he just came and swooped it through. Like those are villain stories, and I think that that's how people are starting to look at him now, and it'll be a lot more widespread. But again, he leans into it well. I think he does that perfect. You said you don't really fuck with Rick Ross like that. Are you talking about like you wanted to talk about catalogs and stuff? Are you disrespecting Rick Ross
No, he
catalog?
makes great music. He makes great music.
Well, what do you
I
mean when
just
you say it just
he
never
just
really hit
seems.
for you? Why? Why
I
did
think
Rick
it's
Ross
the
never really hit for you?
I think it's the lack of humility, like any
He never comes out of
semblance.
character.
Exactly. And again, to each his own. But for me, he's never not on. You know what I'm saying?
He
Never,
made a
bro.
life out of this. What about?
I'm not
Like
saying
how
he has it
do
for
you
sure.
compare, like if you're talking about the Southern greats like a Jeezy and a T.I. and a Lil Wayne and a Scarface, do you think that Rick Ross is in that conversation?
He's in the conversation. He's not in the top of the conversation.
But
That's a great
he
question.
has to be mentioned with those guys, right?
I mean, are we talking all time,
Yeah.
including
Yeah.
Outkast, 8 Ball, MJG, UGK, all that?
Different generation.
Okay,
Like
so
if you go to
2000.
the
So
if you go to the next generation, he is the Scarface, the
he
eight ball
has to be
MJG.
musically. He has to be. I'd
Yeah.
have to give it to
Okay.
him. Yeah, I don't want to hate. So okay, that's fair. So he's a villain. So I do want to talk about the Kendrick thing whenever you're ready. Like
Okay.
I want to.
Shoot.
So real quick, I just want to say what's so funny about this. And bro, I've followed these guys since I was in my early 20s when they only had mixtapes out.
Hmm.
And what's so interesting, bro, it's almost like the Kendrick Drake thing was destined to be
That's what hip
even
hop
in what
is.
bro, but especially with them, bro. And what's so funny is the first song they ever did together. Do you remember what it was? And
Was it
technically
on?
it wasn't them together.
Was it the DJ Khaled?
No, it was Kendrick on Take Care. After you remember, a lot of people
Oh
forget
yeah,
about
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
After
At
that
the end
Marvin's
of
room,
Marvin's
Kendrick comes
room.
in and is like, "Who is this?" And he's like, later in the song, uh, he said that real quick. He said the same day we were in the area cruising in Toronto, talking about Drake, hit me
Right.
on the cellular, thought he was gonna sell me a false world like the rappers I know.
Hmm.
Sat down with a few drinks located where you can't see us. A white waitress on standby when we need her. A black Maybach 40 pulled up, Jeep, no doors. All it was missing was Aaliyah. Felt like the initiation. Remember what I said about where Drake is now and whatever grimy stuff he's doing. It's like Kendrick foreseeing, oh man, I'm meeting with Drake. This is the life ahead of me. And I'm gonna get to a point. We talk casually about the industry and how the women be the tastemakers for this we make. And then he said he was the same age as myself, and it didn't help because it made me even more rude and impatient. So blame it on Mr. OVOXO. So like, and
You
then
can
now
hear the
you can hear the
animosity in.
tension.
Yeah,
You can hear the
you can hear the
tension.
animosity in. Yeah. And it ain't
And
nothing
he
wrong
did
with
that on
that. That's
his album.
competition though. That's
Oh, I don't think
competition.
there's anything wrong with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
He
just
tried
interesting. Like from the
and when he
beginning, like
for that album, he had him open for him on the tour, right? If
hey, he took him and
I'm
Rocky
not
on.
mistaken. Yeah, he had him
Yeah,
open for him and Rocky. That's funny. Huh. Did you have a question behind it?
I guess what I'm asking. So I would just say like I think Kendrick saw it early. Do you think Kendrick is always low key?
Yes.
Do you think he respects
Yes.
Drake?
No.
Yeah, I don't
He's
either.
always I don't even think he respects J. Cole. Like I think I think the most potent
Yeah, I think he
line,
likes him personally, but I don't
yeah,
think.
you're a cool
Yeah,
dude, but
yeah.
I don't fuck with your music. Like I think that the most potent line in that like that was, nigga, what big three? It's just big me. What are y'all even talking about? Like, have y'all seen my catalog compared to this shit y'all put out? Like, have y'all really like sit down and studied it? You know, I get like I don't have Grammys. I have Pulitzer prizes for like poetry and shit. This is what I do when I get in my bag. You
I'm
make
arguably top
2014,
five. Y'all are not.
yeah, like my catalog, you can put it up with
Yeah,
anyone's. Like, yeah,
that's
y'all do
facts, and
good
I would say
verses,
that. Yeah,
y'all make good songs. That's amazing. But when we're talking about a body of work and we're talking about Good Kid, Mad City, we're talking about Damn, we're talking about To Pimp a Butterfly, even Big Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. You can even add that in and Section 80. If you take them
and
five
Section 80
albums, it's hard. You gonna be hard pressed to find a rapper with five albums
out.
like that.
Let me ask you out. That's an interesting point. Outside of Jay, give me a better catalog. And I'm not super on this, but I'm posing the question.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm biased.
With
There's a name that's popping up, and
sure,
it shouldn't, but it's my bias popping up because I'm a fan. You know, it's my favorite
Ti.
rapper. Yeah, like it's close with
But here's the thing. Here's what I might get you.
Trap music. I'm serious. Urban Legend, King, and what was the one with Live Your Life on there?
Paper
Paper
Trail.
Trail.
But those, but
That's
you
a
would agree
solid
those.
five right there.
Here's the thing. I would say trap music's a classic, undoubtedly. I'm serious. I don't know if it's a classic. It's banging.
Right there. It's right there.
Urban
Classic. It's
Legend is
knocking on the door.
banging.
Both of
but I
those are
don't
knocking
know.
on the door at classic.
Trap music is straight through.
Yes,
I don't know that Urban King and Urban Legend and Paper Trail are banging. I don't know that they're classics in the sense that Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly.
that's fair.
Um, and I wouldn't even necessarily say Damn is a classic. I wouldn't say that, but it's my favorite album of his. But um, you don't think he respects him?
No, but
Yeah.
I don't think that that's particular to Drake. I don't think he respects anybody other than the people that
What?
he worked with, like J Rock and Schoolboy and Ab Soul. I think he respected those guys because he had a close vicinity with them. I'm friends. I get to see their process.
Yeah.
I don't think he respects these other guys' process because it's so different from his. Like you're talking about what every 2, 3 years he's coming out with an album, and
Right.
these dudes are coming out every year. I'm sure he's probably looking at that like, how you even do that, bro? Like, what are y'all on? Like, it got to be
Right.
15 people in there writing, and it got to be reference tracks, and it got to be all of this stuff that I'm sure he does not respect as the person that we've known Kendrick Lamar to be. I'm sure that he's looking at that like there is no big three. I'm the only person that does what I do. Y'all do what y'all do, and that's cool, and y'all can compare yourself to everybody else. But I'm in a class by myself, and I think that's stemming from even when you just quoted the verse that he had on the Take Care after Marvin's Room. It's like he knew that he was in a class by himself. Even when
Mm.
you go to the they had another song on that Khaled where they were together. He alluded to it there. He alluded to it on the Self-Made when he was on there with Ross in that Winter Circle, I think was the name of the
Yeah.
song. He had the verse to close it out. Like he always alludes to like it's y'all and then it's me. So you
Mm.
right when you say like this has been bubbling forever, like probably since day one. And
So as
rightfully
far as
so, it's
yeah.
competition.
For sure. So as far, this is great. Yeah, it was funny. I loved on deck when y'all were talking about Vince Staples being Sharif. The dude like, hey man, but have
Nobody
you
want to
thought
hear
about
that
the
shit,
fact like
man.
Vince, people can walk and chew gum at the same time, bro. Like we can like
The
the
crazy
first
thing
thing that I
is,
bro, the first real quick, the first thing that I thought was like, I've been following the Iran Israel thing for the entire week. I can
Mhm,
do both, bro. Like it doesn't like I can watch the Super Bowl knowing that there's messed up stuff going on in the world,
mhm.
right? Like one doesn't cancel out the other. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, do you? So obviously, you don't think that he was on with his comments when he said that Vince. Vince,
Oh, I
for
think he
those
was
that don't
100%
know,
right. I think he was. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Vince came out and said, for those that are listening, have maybe not heard it, he was like, "Well, we're all paying too much attention to this. When there are other things in rap that we need to pay attention to let songwriters get paid more, and just the layoffs that were happening at all the labels, which we spoke about on deck. So don't put us in that, Vince. However, not enough people are talking about the important things he said. He said this is taken away from the important conversations.
So
Boom.
is so. I think the logic in that is flawed, and that you could say that about any more important thing. You could look at anybody paying attention or having fun with any less important thing, and just say, well, what about this? It's a whataboutism. It's just
Yeah.
this is taking our mind off this. But where do you think this goes, bro? Because circling back real quick, part of the reason I think, and this is where you and I might disagree, part of the reason I think that Drake, here's the thing, bro, and you agreed with this when I sent you this actually.
Mhm.
Kendrick
Spoiler.
has never Kendrick has never been truly battle tested.
Right.
However, he's been Candyman, he's been Boogeyman. Say his name, he comes out. Drake, and this actually goes to your point about Push chopping his head off. At this point, I don't know what they're it like. You could, bro. I sent you a text message of dude a story like People Magazine or somebody just reported on it casually, like Drake, who previously last month posted a picture of him masturbating in front of a mirror, and like nobody cares, bro. Like I was like, what? What are we talking about, man? Like, what are you gonna say about this dude, bro? And you know, it can't just be barring it up. And one thing I'll say about Kendrick, he dumbs it down, and I mean that in a good way. He Kendrick knows how. Damn is a perfect example. Kendrick knows how to make songs that the masses will be like, ah, you killed that, or something like that, without having to be like read a think piece to understand it. If anything, you got to read this a think piece to read to understand a lot of this Drake, which is interesting. But I don't know. My whole point is I don't know when we talk about winners, right? You said all Kendrick has to do is come back with a legitimate shot.
Mhm.
Here's why I think that's wrong, though. That should be true. But Drake getting his head chopped off by Push and still being here, going through the, he's battle tested. He is the guy a lot of rappers like to throw mud at. He's easy to make fun of, bro. He's easy to call a cornball and all this. But people know that and they don't care. With
See,
Kendrick, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and this goes back to my problem with involving Rick Ross. You leave his name out of it because he's laid the groundwork for the approach that a much more pertinent voice needs to take in, no offense, the white boy approach. And
White
also,
boy,
like the white boy stuff is funny because
it's
nobody's never really
hilarious.
did that. That's funny. And
The cover
also,
art was
when
classic.
Ross, one of the most pivotal things that Ross said, it was like, bro, I remember you in 2010. You were happy to be around us. Like you were happy that people were even involving you in this, that you weren't getting looked at funny because you were the dude with the funny Jew fro. Like that was a thing. I've been around long enough to know that. That like you don't the only way that you felt comfortable in this is because you were cool with Birdman, because you was cool with Wayne, because I embraced
Jay
you, because you
Prince.
had the Miami scene, because of Jay Prince, because of Houston. Those
Yeah.
That's not your own merit. And again, I'm not taking anything away from Drake. I respect what he's did.
No, they
However,
helped each other. They helped each
that
other.
ground, yeah, exactly. He
Yeah.
paid those dudes back, of course, but the blueprint for that Kendrick Lamar can take and take it to a much more lyrical, much more invasive level. Like I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna really dig in on this because Ross is being funny. I don't know what it sounds like if Kendrick Lamar takes this serious and is really like, come on, bro. Like what you just said, I'm from Compton, and I don't even have to be really like that. I ain't got to have 20 bodies. I can be good kid, Mad City, who may have been on the porch watching this go down and been friends with game bangers, but not really being the game banger. But guess what? I was right there. That shit's still in me. Like we seen that on the Noisy. Like that shit was so good that like you, for those who haven't seen it, the Noisy documentary from Viceland
Fire.
with Kendrick Lamar.
Fire.
Never he wasn't trying to portray a gangster, but you really got to see where he was from.
He
You
was a
can't,
good kid in a
yeah,
mad city.
exactly. So now I can take that. I can take that good kid, Mad City, and I can look at you, Mr. Toronto, Mr. Nickelodeon, Mr. Been Famous your whole life, as like, come on, bro, what we doing here?
But
You and me
here's the
ain't
thing,
even me
bro.
and you and me, like if we cut, we don't even bleed the same blood, bro.
You're right about everything that you said. Here's the thing, though. Who is going to care?
Us,
Because
hip hop.
who
Mainstream
doesn't
won't
already
care. Mainstream won't care.
know? I'm saying even as hip hop heads, who doesn't already know that about Drake?
Well, they think that he's cool. And you're taking the cool factor away when it's like you weren't cool until we made you cool. And now someone who we think is cool is coming in and saying, oh, you're not cool anymore.
I just don't
That's
know if
gonna
that's
go a
enough,
long
bro.
way. I'm
I
telling
don't
you,
know
it's
if
gonna
that's.
go a long way, bro.
I'm not saying it won't go a long way or be solid. I don't know. Would you agree that Drake can't be ethered in the same part? Let's be clear. Part of the reason what makes ether, like if we're being honest, like there was definitely some bars, but part of the reason what makes ether is the fact that Jay was so untouchable, had never had a scuff on his shoe. Like nobody counts the Pac stuff. It was like everybody knew that's Big's man. But yeah, whatever. Nas and that Nas was on like the downslope of his career. Nobody had him in the top five conversation anymore. Uh, and Jay put out arguably his best album of all time. He puts out the Blueprint. He's on top. He brings out Michael, and then Nas, the dude from Queens, boom bap digging in the crates. Nas puts out Ether. Kendrick. So I say that to say like Jay was untouchable at the time, and Nas showed it that you're not though. I can touch you. Like you've
Pause.
been on my, you love my, yeah. Pause.
But no, that's the thing about it. There
Kendrick
may
can't
not,
do that to Drake.
bro, there may not
I
be
don't
a
think
kill
anybody
shot.
can.
Yeah, exactly. There may not be a kill shot
That's what. Okay.
in this
I think
beef.
that's a, yeah.
There
Okay.
may be a lot of heavy blows, but no kill shots unless something really personal gets
On
out. We
either
look
side.
at them and like, yeah, on either side. Because like, just think about what you're saying with Ether, bro. I just told you how much of a fan that I was of Jay from Dynasty to Blueprint to Volume 3. Like that was my favorite Jay era. That was Jay-Z is my guy. He's my number one rapper. He's the best guy of all time other than Pac. That was it for me. I still remember. I remember the Friday before that Stillmatic came out. Remember going to the record store, kids. Like those of you who don't know. Like we could there was a
Yeah, I
place
don't
in
even remember this, so
Nashville,
I enjoy
bro.
hearing this. I
There
enjoy
was a
hearing this.
place in Nashville where you could go pick up albums early. And reading the source, I knew Stillmatic was coming out that Friday. And this place in Nashville was
Wait, real
called
quick. Real quick? Sorry. Were you just a little background? Were you like just insert this? I think it'll give a good background. What level of Nas fan were you at this point? You're
I
going to get the
like
Stillmatic.
Stillmatic. I like Stillmatic, like you said. But once Jay had came out, and I was more on Jay's side. I was like, yeah, Nas boring. One hot album every
Okay.
10-year
All right.
average. And
Cool. I
some
just
of my
wanted to.
friends were Nas fans, so I used to fuck with them. Like my guy J Ho, he
Okay.
was a Nas fan. So I remember pulling up the sound stream. I remember looking at the album. I remember seeing Ether on there, not knowing anything, and putting it. Chris AB lived right around the corner from the record store. I'm talking about maybe a 3-minute drive,
It's
just long
classic
enough,
stories right here,
just
bro.
long enough where you could get to like almost the end of the song. And bro, I put it in. I don't even remember what the intro was, but I do remember Ether was number 2
Yeah.
on the disc. So whatever the intro was, it had to be relatively short because I remember pulling into AB's driveway, like legit sad. Like, oh my God, bro. It might be over. Like, it might
It
be
might
over
be
for
over.
my guy. Like, this shit is like, because again, I wasn't the biggest Nas fan, and that shit was
What was the bar?
fire.
What was the bit? What was the one that you were like, oh man,
It was how it came on. Like, we had
Russell
never like
Simmons line?
the fuck Jay-Z. I know you not talking about me, dog. You
You
been on
what?
my dick, nigga. You love my style, nigga. Like, and then the beat, it was like, oh my God. Like, I
Yeah.
remember legit like putting my hand over my mouth, like,
Yeah.
God dang,
It's
bro,
so
it's
fire
over for
story.
dude. And Jay was my man's, and I was like,
You
it's
know what's
over.
so yeah,
Bro, I knocked
because
on Chris' door.
he was so disgusted. That's what was so funny about it. They're
Yeah,
like,
it's like you
what?
look up to me, bro. Who are
Yo,
you?
like,
That's the perfect card to play anytime you can do that in a beef, bro.
disgusted.
I
Like,
knocked on AB door with the sad knock, like the dude. I
what's
said,
up?
I walked in, I said, it's over, bro. Because he hadn't went and got, I said, it's over. It's over for Hove, dude. It's over.
Dang, bro.
But I say all of that to say
Yeah.
that's why I don't think it'll be kill shot. Because as hard as that was, like Jay came right back out with Blueprint too. He did his thing. He's never been really not like that. Yeah, maybe a couple weeks. It was rough. He came out with Super Ugly. That looked ugly. And then he got to recoup and just put himself back to where he want to be. And we see the
Then he was
Jay-Z
Jay.
that we are now. Right. So
Then he
like
was
this,
Jay.
all of this
Yeah.
is going to be water on the duck's back. Like
So it'll
both
be
of
a
them will bounce
stalemate.
back. It
So
probably
it'll be a
will be.
stalemate.
And that's the ultimate conclusion that I feel like it'll come to. Both of them are too big of a stars to say this will end either one of their careers. That ain't happening. That's
Do you think
that's
Kendrick
not gonna
take
happen
that's
at
a,
all.
I think that's a good take. Do you think and I agree with that. Do you think that Kendrick takes that angle?
No,
A
he's still
two-part
trying to
question.
kill him though. He don't think I don't think the Kendrick's thinking like I'm thinking. And as an artist, you can't think that way. You can't think
What do you mean?
I'm going to battle this into a stalemate. You can't
Oh
be a
no, I don't mean
boxer
it.
and
Like,
think I'm going to go
yeah.
into this and try to get a draw. I'm trying to knock you out. However, I do think that the ultimate decision from the judges is going to be okay. It was a draw. That's what his
Let
ultimate
me
thing is going to be.
let me ask you this. Do you okay, let's say Kendrick drops whenever. People first of all, and like anybody saying like where's Kendrick? Where's Kendrick? Bro, it took Drake 3 weeks. Nobody bro, like I was it's funny. I went back and I did like, I'm sure a lot of us did. I
Ether
looked at
took 2
like
months, by the way.
Ether took 2 months. I went
Mhm.
back in F with Dre Day. Easy E put Real Compton City G's out like 6 months later,
Mhm.
and Real Compton City G's might be in the top five disc. It might
Yes.
be like the best disc record of all time, low
And
key.
Dre Day
That
was
did
a
that
#1 song. Like it wasn't like
smash. It
it
was the
wasn't like,
intro
oh,
to the
this is on the
Chronic, bro.
album. Yeah, it was the intro to the Chronic, and MTV had just started popping. Dre Day was on the hour
And
every
nobody was
hour.
listening to Easy. All due respect, God rest the dead, but like nobody was listening to Easy at that point. Like Dre was that dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
Snoop. Snoop was fresh. Like so, the timeline is whatever. Now, if he can't go till this fall, then people are like, bro. However, let's say Kendrick comes out whenever. And let's say it's like, oh, he's snapping. This is really good. He
Mhm.
got him. And let's say it's hard, it's scathing. Let's then say that Drake real quick, two-part question. First, do you believe when he says this ain't everything I know, don't wake the demon up, and all the Whitney rumors and stuff like that? Do you how much of a plethora of knowledge do you think you think he's not holding aces?
He may be, but it's on Kendrick Lamar now to raise the bar. Like you
How do
got
you
to
think that
take it.
affects though?
You got to
Like, do you
raise the
think?
bar beyond this gossip shit. Like you got to really
Mm,
get into like, nah, I am a better rapper than dude. I'm cooler than dude. I'm way better at this than dude. He can do all the gossip shit he want about girls and wives and all of this bullshit that he paying people to like. But when it come to you got to come in here and pick up this pen, and I got to go pick up my pen, and we got to put a verse out. I'm
mm,
going to destroy you.
I
Just
agree
like,
with
just
that.
like, even though Pusha T still took the gossipy route, like just like Pusha T did, like you listen to that, and you're like, okay, bro, like I don't even want it. This not even fun.
The
Like
first
he,
line, what's so funny about that is they've been beefing like low key subbing for years, and then finally push. A lot of people forget how that verse begins. And when you send it to me, the first line is drug dealing
drug dealing
aside,
aside, ghostwriting aside,
ghostwriting aside. Let's talk about.
get
Let's
all of
have a
that shit
heart to
out of the
talk about it.
way.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
bro,
Now let's talk
it's
about
still
how your dad
honestly
don't
when I
like
sent
you,
you that Duppy and that Duppy's
bro.
still fire. But when I first put that on, when you sent it to me, and he started off the diss like everything we've been talking about going back and forth for
Fuck all
five,
that.
6, 7 years. All right, let's put all that. Let's just have a real man to man.
I'm finna
Drug
show
dealing
you.
aside,
Yeah.
ghostwriting aside.
Your
Like,
dad
let's have
don't
a heart
love
to heart
you.
about your
Your
pride.
dad don't love you. Your mom's a loser. You got a porn star pregnant. Let's talk about all of that. And that was like,
How
oh
she
my
becoming in last
God,
place was
bro.
that was so disrespectful.
That
How's
was
your mom
so
keep Yo,
disrespectful.
how does another man ask you, how are you a
How your
winner, but
mom
your
keep coming
mom
up
keeps
last,
coming in
bro?
last place, bro?
Hey, well, I would have wanted to be on a flight. I would have had to see.
Do you,
I would have had to see Pusha T behind there, bro.
so
That's a
you don't think so?
crazy line.
So I agree with you that there's an angle to take to where you could put out Whitney cheated on me with a
Don't
bodyguard.
matter. He
It
got to
doesn't
get in that
matter.
Pulitzer Prize, that good kid, Mad City. Like he get the. I seen you in blackface, dude. Like he got to get in that bag. Like I seen you in blackface, and you doing this with me. You doing this with the dude that made to pimp a butterfly. Like that's the approach that he got to take. Like
Well, I
you
gotta
can
ask you
do
this.
all
I
of
know,
that jokey stuff, and he does
yeah,
still have to be funny. There is still got to be because that's a part
Kendrick.
of beef. Yeah, Kendrick still got to have some funny stuff in there. It can't be too serious.
Well,
This is
I
gonna
don't
go
know.
over people's head.
Was Ether funny?
Yeah, dick sucking lips. Nigga, Queens
I thought
niggas
that.
run you niggas ass Russell Simmons, you 46 in a karate class. What you a Tybo ho? Like
No,
all
you're
of
right.
that,
You're right. You're right.
what
You're right.
all
What
of,
do you call it? He called
all
him
of that was funny, dude. You
on his
beat
soldiers in a camel. I can handle this for Dolo. Yeah, we called him a camel, bro. What?
they said without beans, you whack. Like all of that was funny, bro. All of that was funny.
Um. What? I know we're about to wrap up soon, but like, what? What? What do you think? Dang, I forgot where I was gonna take it. Where do you think? I don't know. Go ahead. I forgot. It'll come to me.
What else did you have? Like just hip hop oriented, just moving off that. What else been on your plate that you want to bring to the table for the another week in the book, people?
Outside of the beef.
Like what when you well, I don't want to deep us out here, but you said you've been watching the Iran Israel beef all week.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you think that's gonna turn into something? Because
Oh man.
here's a theory that
Yeah.
I have to tie both of those in together.
I love theories. Go. Let's
I,
go.
I think that something major happens in the world where people stop paying attention and it's not a thing.
What do you
Like
mean?
I think that there's a major event that comes as to where like, oh yeah, Kendrick Lamar was supposed to respond to Drake. I think something a lot more serious happens that makes people stop paying attention to this.
Oh wow, you just made man. You just made.
I think that we're on the verge of that. I think that something is teetering as to where it's going to be like,
It
oh
definitely
yeah, I
feels like it.
was supposed to be waiting on the Kendrick Lamar disc, but this crazy ass world life changing
That
event,
Civil
yeah,
War got you on.
this
That's what
fucking
it is,
life
bro. I'm
changing
so
event
jealous
happened.
when I heard
Oh,
you on
you
the
ain't
pod.
seen it?
Like this
Oh
is.
my god,
I'm
bro,
seeing it Friday. I'm seeing it Friday on the IMAX, on the Limax, the
bro,
little
that
IMAX. But
that shit is fire.
without giving spoilers, because here's what I heard. You tell me I want because you and I respect your taste in movies. What what I heard was it's not as it's more, which I'm still down for, but what I heard was it's more about the horrors of war rather than the politics behind it.
That's the
And
great
I'm
thing about
like,
it.
okay,
You don't know why what's happening is happening.
it's not the left right thing or
It's
whatever. It's
not,
just
it's
like
not, oh, this is the reason that they got invaded or
it's this is what
these are the
happened when
debates they
stuff
had.
breaks
It's like
down.
we're real people in a real world. And if you weren't in Hollywood and you were, excuse me, not Hollywood, if you weren't in DC, if you weren't a politician and you're out here and you're having to survive every day, this is how those things are going to impact you. This is how it's going to look when you go to the gas station. This is how it's going to look when you go from state to state and you have these small militia groups
Right. Right.
running blocks. Bro, it
Yeah.
was the perspective that they gave on it. The, the press is the eyes that they looked on it through. So they kind of had immunity where no one was really beefing with them. So they got to see everything front line. Oh man, that was brilliant.
I'm
Like
excited.
you're going to love it. There's one scene, and
That's
this is one of the, like when you'll know it when you see it, the scene that I'm talking about. But it's in the Winter Wonderland. But bro, that was my
okay.
favorite. It was my favorite back and forth in the whole movie because it's something that I would say.
Hmm.
Like you'll
Okay.
see it like the
I'm hyped.
sniper and
I'm hyped,
everything.
man.
When you see
I'm
it,
hyped.
text me and let me know. But yeah, if
Um,
y'all haven't, go check out Civil War. It's a really dope movie.
to get real another week in the books before we cap it,
Yeah, let's do that.
to your point, I was listening to a podcast 3 days ago, and this dude, he was pretty like he was like a scientist or
Mhm.
engineer. He wasn't like a left right, but he was just like
Is it Rogan?
no. It was like
Oh,
just that's the thing. It was like a random like NPR type news
yeah.
update with a specialist, and he was just like, yeah, the if the power grid goes down, and then I started watching videos, bro. Like we don't even, and then I started thinking. I was talking to my friend. I was telling her like, okay, think about this. This runs off this, and I'm holding up my phone for the listeners. This runs off power. This is my entire
Wi-Fi.
communication. I don't
Mhm.
have a landline. I don't have walkie talkies. I don't have. I should now, but I don't.
Mhm.
Not only that, bro. Check this out. We both live in Atlanta. Let's say it went. Let's say it popped off. Power went out. Everything's dark. Whatever it is, and you're like, okay, I know, not naming names, allegedly this dude stays he stays with it, he's strapped, or he's taking, he can survive in this, he's got food, MREs, rations, whatever. Here's the thing, let's say he's like, yo, we about to head to Tennessee, because that was my first thought. My folks live up in Tennessee, there's mountains in Tennessee, there's guns in Tennessee, so if it ever popped off, I'm heading to Tennessee. But here's the thing, bro,
How you
when
gonna
you
get there?
stop and get when you stop and get let's say you got three-fourths of a tank. When you
How are you
stop and
get?
get gas, how you gassing up without swiping the little chip on your card on the electric gas station? We don't even think about that, bro.
Or how are you gonna get there? Ain't no, there's not a plane. The interstate's gonna look crazy. Like they showed
That's right.
one of the best pictures of the one of the best scenes that they had in Civil War was the interstate. It's like
Yeah.
the cars were
Yeah.
blocking it. Like what are
You're
you
not the
gonna
only one
do?
trying to get
Yeah,
out. Like
you
he is not just
now,
you,
yeah,
like
you ain't
with
the
the
only one
plan.
that thought, oh shit, let me get
Yeah,
to my
right.
people. Everybody's thinking that.
Everybody's thinking that, right?
And everybody's running out of gas. Nobody has a phone. And then okay, cars are dying. Now I gotta maneuver through. Like, bro, it's a crazy thought to think. And okay, so here's what I how long would you try to survive in a scenario like that?
You going the Rogan route where he's like, the lucky people are the people who die when
Yeah,
it
like, bro,
happens.
would you like? I couldn't see myself out here walking dead and then like we're going through the
Right.
fucking woods and I gotta
Eating
kill zombie.
raccoons,
Like, bro, fuck all of that,
killing
bro.
some dude because he wants to take
Man,
over the tribe
no,
and like
I'm not doing none of that, bro. I ain't
um
built for that.
I don't know, man. That's a great question. It's like a cliffhanger because I feel
Having to hunt for your food and you gotta skin it, kill it, like just fighting off other motherfuckers, like continuously finding stuff to eat and like just it don't seem like the trouble would be worth it, bro.
bro,
Because
the reality is every country
you
on
would be at
yeah,
that point trying to survive, hoping that things got back to the way that they were. And if they
and
didn't,
you
then you forever are in this mode of I'm fucking Rick from Walking Dead, bro. I got
right,
a
because what
fucking
it
rifle on
sounds
my back and I gotta kill fucking deer every night watching. We're like, who the fuck wants to do that?
and I think what makes Walking Dead even and from what you say, Civil War, is when good human beings, when good people are put in situations like that, that's when you truly see the depravity of man and you truly see what people are capable of. When we got iPhones and we got Twitter and we got YouTube and podcasts and 9 to 5 corporate jobs with cloud spaces to and checking accounts and all that, that's one thing. But let's not forget the majority, 99.9999% of human history are humans killing each other, are people not having enough to eat, are people starving, are people enslaving each other and brutally killing and butchering each other. That's 99% of human history, bro. These nations, almost every nation on earth, have either only been around for a few hundred years or they were different empires. Like, even though China's been around forever, they weren't always China as it is now,
Yeah,
and vice
with
versa.
different
So
tribes and shit.
empires fall, bro. We see ruins and we're like, oh, that's cool for the history books. It's like, no, that could be Atlanta, bro.
That could be the US. Like, do you really, you ask yourself, even before you start doomsday prepping and you
Yeah,
start saying, well, this, like, do you want to live in the world where it's either you or me? Like, people have that mindset now and they try to relay it towards, oh, either you get the job or I don't. But think about like living in a world every day when you wake up and you go try to find food or help your family or try to survive. It's literally, if I don't kill this person, I'm not going to survive. Do you really want to live in that
right.
world?
That and the starvation aspects. Like, there's an
I
old
gotta
Bob
find
Dylan
something to
song,
eat every day without going to the super. I gotta hunt a deer. I gotta shoot a
bro.
rabbit. I gotta eat a skunk or a squirrel or a bird that I shot down off a fucking power line that hasn't ran in 2 years. Like, do you really want to be in that life? That's when people start talking about doomsday prepping and all that. That's the first thing that I think. Like, okay, are you really going to try to survive and like push through that? Because
Yeah.
at that point, what are you
What are you
doing?
living for?
Yeah, like what are you hoping that it'll get back to a certain way one day?
There's
Like
a
what, bro?
I'm sending it to you right now, because you have an appreciation for like the Richmond, north of Richmond type songs, just like the
Hmm,
kind of like
hmm.
blue collar. There's a there's an old song by Bob Dylan from the 60s called the Ballad of Hollis Brown. And spoiler alert, but it won't ruin the song. It's about this dude. He lives during the Great Depression and he lives out on a farm way out in the middle of nowhere. And he's just the whole song he's talking about like they're starving, they don't have food, his kids hungry eyes looking at him. And it gives me chills even talking about it. At the end of the song, you hear Dylan singing, "There's 7 people dead on a South Dakota farm." The dad literally was like watching his whole family starve. That he just
Mm.
blew them all away and then killed himself because he just couldn't. He couldn't. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying like that's what the deterioration of the human spirit can drive people to. And I think you're right. If
And
once we lose all this Kush stuff, bro,
I was gonna say, and how long people have a misconception of how long it will take to get to
I
that
think that's a
point.
great point. That's a
Like
great
once it
point. I
goes,
think
did me and you talk about that one
no,
day on
but I
lunch?
think
Like
that's
max 2 weeks before it gets
max.
too
I
like
was gonna say a few days. I was gonna say a few
it
days.
may be 72 hours. I may be wrong in that, but I think
Because
I've
you'll
heard two
already
weeks.
have people like rooting
Yeah, like
and
wilding
stuff like
out
that. But the people, I think what you're talking about is the people who
before
normally
everything
would be
break down.
just like, yo, I'm a product manager at Target or
Like, bro, ain't no Target no
Salesforce.
more, bro. It's over. All of
It's
that's
over.
over.
Yeah,
It takes about two
it's
weeks. Like,
over.
and people think that we have such an infrastructure that's built up so strong. Like, it would take like, bro, 2 weeks, everything can change. It can go from the world that we're living in to fucking Walking Dead in 2 weeks. That's all. That's all the reserve that we have. And especially if you're talking about, like you said, what the power grids go out. It's 3 power grids in the US. A lot of people don't even know it's three
Yeah,
power grids in the whole United States. That's insane.
yeah.
One for the West Coast, one for the East Coast, and then one for the Southern, like Texas. I think Texas has
Southeast
their
or
own.
yeah, yeah.
Well, Texas has their own. I think the Southeast is on the East Coast and everything else on
Okay,
the
I
West
knew there were
goes off the
three. But
West
okay,
Coast. Yeah, but the third one's in Texas for their own. So then you're talking about that getting bombed or going out. People without power, like it won't take a month for motherfuckers to be without power for shit to start going hell.
what's funny is the dude on the little engineer dude or whatever he was talking about. He was like, "What's funny is we could easily fix the problem, but we would have to like stop using a lot of electricity." And he's like, "The reality is, no one's stopping Amazon Prime." No one
Yeah,
saw. Like we're there, bro. It's just not like none of us are like it ain't gonna be me.
it's
Like
over.
none of us are doing that, bro. It's
It's
over.
over for that.
I think this is a good cliffhanger to end on because I think it would be dope to have another week in the books pod sometime soon on not really politics in the left right paradigm, but more like this type of stuff and even politics maybe to some degree and like what we think on certain things or whatever. I think that'd be dope. And not to make it a political pod, but just kind of how we see that world and
Just
people
a
and
State of
how
the
people get
Union, a
caught up.
State of the Union
A
address.
State of the Union would be fire, bro. I'm with it. I'm here for it.
Book it. We're gonna do it. Dan, you let me know when you want to come back, man. This has been a great episode. Again,
Yeah, this is fun.
Mo wasn't here. Appreciate y'all joining in and bearing with us through our rap talk. We wanted to get that off as fans of the culture, man, and provide that to another week in the books. We'll be back to your regularly scheduled programming next week. Dan, I appreciate you jumping on with us.
Yes, sir.
As always, you have an open
Always
invite
good to be here.
for that cliffhanger episode. We'll get together and make sure that we make it happen really soon. For all the bookworms out there, y'all know the Gmails, y'all know the Instagrams, y'all know the places to get in touch with us. So please do that so we can share some information about what you thought about this episode and any one of the previous episodes. Go check out the back catalog. I am Spike Lou. This has been another week in the books. We out.
Peace.